Hey guys, Derek here with Team NuCanoe. Just got back from the Lake Erie event for KBF Regional Finals, where I was lucky enough to place in second place. And it's all due to, obviously, the most stable kayak in the industry, in my opinion, the NuCanoe Pursuit. But there was a couple of key factors that kept me in the hunt the whole time. There was some really nasty weather the whole time we were there. I think the first morning when I got up to pre-fish, it was just unbelievable lightning, thunder, pouring rain, heavy winds, 25-30 miles an hour. I did let it get light out, and then I went and pre-fished anyways, because what are you gonna do? You're 9.5 hours from home, you're at the regional finals for KBF, and there's nothing better to do, so go fishing, right? What comes along with that is also having confidence in the kayak that you're in. Confident that you can be safe, confident that you can catch fish, confident in its stability. And there's a bunch of other factors that go along with that as well. Pre-fishing day one was difficult, to say the least. I think I got maybe 5, maybe 6 keepers. Nothing over 14 inches. I was kind of bummed out. Fished around a couple marinas, fished around some docks, fished around some mats, but I couldn't really put together a solid pattern. Got a few bites on the jig, a few bites on the chatterbait, a few bites on the drop shot. Again, nothing big. Needless to say, I was a little bummed out over that, but it was also super hot after the weather cleared up, so that made a big change. Pre-fishing day 2, went out, tried a completely different area than what I was going to try. Sometimes you get that little inkling in your mind, like, oh, I should go try that, and then you just drive over there and try that, because what else are you gonna do? So I went and tried out the spot, little seawall out there. I knew that there's been some fish caught there in the past, so I tried it out, and I smashed them on pre-fishing on that day, and then I quit real early and got away from that spot, not to burn it up. And I went pre-fished on the next day just to try out some different areas. Didn't have too much luck, so I knew in my mind that I wanted to go back to that spot, knowing that there was going to be heavy wind, heavy waves, some storms were coming. I knew I wasn't going to be able to get out onto Maine, Lake Erie. I knew some guys were going to get out there, because some guys know that area very well, and they know on certain winds you can fish in a certain spot. But I just didn't have that confidence, so I knew I was going to stay in Presque Isle Bay. I knew I was going to go fish that seawall. So that's what I did. At 6 o'clock, got ready, got everything going, got out to the spot. Of course, the XI3 got me out there fastest. I was the first guy on the spot. I locked it down. A couple other anglers came out and were very courteous, knowing that I was there first, and gave me the area. I knew from the other day that the fish were going to be super tight to that seawall. I was throwing right down the seawall with this little black and blue jig. The keys to getting bit on that seawall were being within 6 inches of the seawall itself. And I knew that from pre-fishing, so I had to get real tight. I pulled up. As soon as it got light out, I hit the anchor button on my XI3, the pinpoint GPS, and it locked me on the spot. Now luckily the wind was blowing in a direction that kept me facing straight down that seawall, to where I could make the cast down and then just let it fall, and then just inch it back along that seawall within 6 inches of that seawall, or as close as I could get it. This is why you buy the XI3 with the pinpoint GPS. You can see the wind is cranking. Set on this spot yesterday for 6 hours. Been here for 3.5. No, I'm sorry, 4.5. And we're sitting in second place, KBF, Lake Erie. regional finals for the Northeast. And that was my theory for the day. Just stay there, camp out. I knew fish were there. I knew they would reload. But I took a pounding in the waves. I took a pounding in the wind because it was ugly. It was blowing 25 to 30. And, you know, while it was nasty and I knew that I had to stay that close to the seawall, the pinpoint GPS with the XI3, it kept me pinned right there. I wasn't afraid of hitting the wall. I wasn't afraid of getting pushed out into the main channel. I wasn't getting afraid of being pushed away from the wall, because once you got away from the wall, the bites were far and few between. Not that I got a lot of bites, but the NuCanoe Pursuit keeping us safe. We're just pitching out the jig and letting it roll. I hit the spot, the pinpoint GPS lock, first minute, first cast, until the last cast. Well, that's not true. I fished there for 6.5 hours the first day. I never left that seawall. And I got 7 bites. I landed all 7 fish, and I did upgrade twice, so it worked out good for me. Knowing that it would regenerate and fish would move back in, new fish, I decided to go there again on the second day of the tournament. Second day of the tournament threw me a little bit of a curveball. I was got up, I checked the wind, and it was screaming, blowing 30, and this time it was blowing directly into that seawall. So I knew that with any chance that anybody would have is to be getting along that seawall. And I know nobody else out there has the XI3 with the pinpoint GPS, because I haven't seen anybody else with it. I got out there again. That XI3 pulls my Pursuit at 4 miles an hour. I get there effortlessly. I might get a sore thumb from hitting the buttons here and there, but I have no fatigue whatsoever. I'm not paddling, I'm not pedaling, I'm not, you know, doing whatever. I'm just motoring straight for the spot. Getting there was a little hairy. It's about 3 footers with white caps on the top. In the dark, was taking them over the bow, but the Pursuit with the 4 scupper holes bails out quick, and I never had to worry about it. Glad I'm in a NuCanoe. Got to the spot first again. I saw one other angler out there, another guy that was there the day before. Again, thank you, Josh. Gave me the room that I needed. I pulled up to the wall. As soon as it went go time, I made sure I hit my pinpoint GPS anchor button, and I just glued myself to that wall. This time I was taking it full frontal, just smash repeatedly all day with big waves, wind, thunderstorms rolling through, pouring rain, you name it, we had it on day 2. But I knew that I wanted to stay on that spot. I had made up my mind I wasn't leaving, and I didn't. I left that spot just enough time to run back to my truck and get loaded up and get back to the check-in on time. I spent 7.5 hours on the pinpoint GPS anchor right against that seawall. I never left more than a 100-yard spot. I would run up, fish for 3 hours, cast after cast after cast after cast after cast after cast. Move down, fish for 3 hours, cast after cast after cast. I only fished about 100-yard sections because that was the only productive water. The biggest issue with the second day was that wind pounding on that seawall had broken up all the mats from across the bay and was pushing them into that corner. So it was hard to get your bait down through and keep it clean on your cast, bringing it along the seawall. Again, because that's the only time you get bit. I managed 5 bites while I was there, and I landed all 5. And for a while I was in the lead. Casey Reed came back and upgraded a couple of times to take the win, unfortunately for me, although I was very happy with second place. But it just goes to show that if you have confidence in what you're doing, confidence in your technique, I can't tell you how many fish this black and blue jig has caught me this year. Won a bunch of tournaments doing it. Anybody that knows me knows that I will be dragging a jig if at all possible. One of my favorite techniques to catching fish. But on this particular incident, I never left that jig bite. Buckled down, did what I had to do to secure the second place win. Again, back to having confidence in your bait, having confidence in your kayak. NuCanoe gives me all the confidence I need. I know what this pursuit is capable of. I've been in the nastiest of the nasty weather. I've watched bass boats run out of the lake. I've watched other kayaks run for the shore. I'll stay out there, spot lock, middle of 2 miles offshore in Lake Winnipesaukee, 30-mile-an-hour winds, drop shotting. Just because I know that this kayak, my NuCanoe Pursuit, is going to keep me safe. And with that, safety should be your #1 priority. Just because I'm saying all this and whatever, you got to do what you're confident in. But #1 thing that I always tell people, no matter how stable your kayak is, no matter if you have the MotorGuide XI3 mounted on the front, you got to have a good PFD. Whether it's the chest style or a Mustang inflatable like I have here, if you fall in, God forbid if you fall in, and you're not a great swimmer, or you're in some turbulent weather like I was, you want to know that you can rip that ripcord, or the little cartridge inside senses the water and deploys. It's going to keep you safe, so you can doggy paddle or swim or do whatever you have to do to get to the lake or get to the shoreline and be safe. Safety. Again, a good PFD is worth its weight in gold. You know, the cheap Walmart ones, they may keep you afloat, whatever. Spend some money on a good one. Again, I like this inflatable style, the Mustang style. A lot of guys like the Chinook style. Those are great PFDs as well. And I would say 99 to maybe even 100% of the tournaments that you might fish, they require you to wear a PFD at all times. So spend some money, invest some money, I should say, in a good PFD. And get out there, get in a NuCanoe, mount one of those MotorGuide XI3s up on the front, go have some fun, fish some tournaments, fish some fun, fish with your buddies, fish with your wife, your kids, husband, whatever it might be, and have a blast. Again, guys, thank you. I'm gonna go catch some fish.